Joe Nickell leaves a legacy of intrigue and solved mysteries by Stephen Hupp from the May-June 2025 issue of Skeptical Inquirer. Soon after his death on March 4, 2025, at the age of 80, tributes to Joe Nickell started rolling in, and they will appear in the next issue of Skeptical Inquirer. Just days before the current issue went to press, I wanted to acknowledge the loss of our longest tenured columnist and CSI's only senior research fellow. Joe wrote his first article for SI in 1983 about the Nazca drawings, also called Riddles in the Sand. His author bio for that article read, Joe Nickell teaches technical writing at the University of Kentucky. A former professional stage magician and private investigator, he is best known for his research on the Turin Shroud and is author of Verdict on the Shroud, published by Prometheus Books earlier this year. This author bio of his stands out to me because these are all aspects of his life that he brought up with me during a memorable lunch together last year. The lunch ended with me getting his autograph. He seemed particularly proud to have been Paul Kurtz's go-to guy for the mystery of the Shroud and for the many mysteries that followed. 2 years later, in 1985, his next article detailed an investigation into the reportedly miraculous appearance of the Virgin Mary's image on a cloak. Joe's author bio for that article added, much of his undergraduate work was in art, including advanced painting and art history. The bio also described him as an expert in microchemical and instrumental analysis, including recent experimentation with laser-induced infrared fluorescence and other techniques in the examination of paintings. And so the documentation of his growing list of personas, as he called them, continued in his author bios for his articles every few years. In 1987, he wrote about spontaneous human combustion, and his bio said he has written investigative articles for many magazines and journals. In 1989, he wrote about the Shroud of Turin, and his bio for the first time described him as a fellow for PsyCop. The bio also added that he was the author of Inquest on the Shroud of Turin and with John F. Fisher, Secrets of the Supernatural. In 1992, he wrote about crop circles, and by then he had become author of many books. In 1994, he wrote about miracles in 2 separate issues of SI, with his bio appropriately highlighting his newest book, Looking for a Miracle. In 1995, he wrote about crop circles again. This time, his name made it onto the cover, and the phrase, investigator of strange phenomena, made it into his bio. Joe wrote for Skeptical Inquirer a second time for the last issue of 1995, and this time he did so as an official columnist. Writing about the alien autopsy hoax, the column itself bore the title Investigative Files, a column title that remained to this day, 3 decades later. For the first time, his bio from that issue described Joe as PsyCop's senior research fellow, adding, "This is his inaugural Investigative Files issue." As of this writing, when I searched Joe Nickell at skepticalinquirer.org, the results show that he has 354 contributions, far more than anyone else. His column in this issue will make it 355. Not all those contributions were for the print magazine, but a staggeringly large number of them were indeed mailed out to subscribers. As you might have hoped, the author bios continued to reflect his growing list of personas. In fact, over the past several months, I started noticing the changes and admiringly chuckled each time his author bio highlighted some aspect from his legacy of intrigue. For example, here's a look back at his column topics and bios over the past 5 issues. In July-August 2024, he wrote about the vanishing of D.B. Cooper with this bio. Joe Nickell, Ph.D., has been several kinds of investigator, private, literary, paranormal, etc. In addition, he has also been a homicide consultant to police and individuals. He is still active after half a century and some 50 books, now specializing in significant unsolved mysteries of various kinds. In September-October 2024, he wrote about the vanishing lighthouse keepers with this bio. Joe Nickell, Ph.D., used his background as a magician and Pinkerton detective to investigate all manner of paranormal claims, including haunted lighthouses. He and his late wife, Diana Harris, twice served as assistant lighthouse keepers, which he says helped him prepare for studying the lighthouse central to this case. In November-December 2024, he wrote about an imposter pretending to be the Grand Duchess Anastasia with this bio. Joe Nickell, Ph.D., has spent more than half a century probing historical, forensic, and paranormal enigmas. In January-February 2025, prompted by my request, he wrote a big-picture piece for our special 250th issue that more broadly focused on his favorite investigative strategies. He used this bio. Joe Nickell, Ph.D., has made a career in various roles solving mysteries. Solving illusory matters, he became a magician, resident magician at the Houdini Hall of Fame, and Hollywood stunt trainee, performing in the stunt show at the Santa Monica Main Street Fair. Licensed as a PI by the Ontario Provincial Police, he became a Pinkerton detective. Then he became an armed special officer, a homicide consultant, and a recipient of a doctorate in English, with dissertation on literary investigation. Subsequently, he has also published numerous books, including Crime Science and Detecting Forgery. In March-April 2025, he wrote about the film The Devil on Trial with this bio. Joe Nickell, Ph.D., is CSI's Senior Research Fellow. A former stage magician and private detective, he has, since 1969, investigated numerous cases of alleged ghosts, poltergeists, and demons from a scientific perspective. One day soon, I'll go back to the beginning and read each of those evolving bios across 355 articles that together represent each of the 1,066 personas that he famously lists on his website, joenickell.com. Some personas really caught my eye: detectivologist, fake-lorist, frigatrice-decaphobiologist, joke-lorist, monsterologist, ufologist, and vampirologist. Other personas made my eyes pop: baroom brawler, bear catcher's sidekick, carousel operator, cartoon character, gold prospector, magic kit creator, riverboat manager, secret agent, undercover operative, and zombie. Lastly, some personas show another side of Joe, a side that often surfaced when we chatted: civil rights worker, conservationist, community organizer, demonstrator, federal fugitive, refugee, philosopher, humanist, and family man. I'm thankful to have had this time working with Joe. His columns and books have been delighting me for years, and I feel fortunate that we can continue exploring mysteries through his eyes, thanks to his large catalog of published articles and books. Stay tuned for the next issue of Skeptical Inquirer, where we'll be sharing many other tributes. Lastly, I want to say thanks to Joe for bringing Intrigue into my life on a bi-monthly basis through his hand-on investigations and solved mysteries. Thank you for listening to Skeptical Inquirer Audio Edition. This podcast is produced by the Center for Inquiry at our headquarters in Amherst, New York. If you would like to support our work, please consider subscribing to Skeptical Inquirer magazine at skepticalinquirer.org. It is listeners like you that make our work possible. With your support, we can continue to promote science, reason, and secular values throughout the world. Thank you.